There used to be a river in Alamo.
A river that flowed through
That's how they got the water.
at the well. I did it again. This is all the artifacts, so some of the artifacts in the time.
The turtle shell.
That turtle look real though.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, how are you? Well,
A turtle.
so this
That's a
is
turtle
just,
shell.
That's a
so
villain.
that table over there is the. So who are the people here of South Texas? And that is a very good question. So the tribes was called Colocopians, and they were very small tribes, and they hunted and gathered. They didn't build any structures here. They just moved from the season. And to tell you the truth, whatever hopped, jumped, skipped, swam, flew, wiggled, it was game. And there was an earthworm, they took it. If it was a cricket, they took it. A scorpion, they took it. A snake, they took it. And the trees, you know, there was fruits, there was nuts. When it was produced, they would gather those things. But meat wasn't always guaranteed, okay? So, yeah, the alligator, yeah. Believe it or not, San Antonio River had alligators at one time. But they weren't really harvested here until you go to the coast. The Karankawas, the name of that tribe, okay, they harvested alligators, not just for their meat, but for their fat. Now why the fat? Well, you got a mosquito pump down there, okay? And they would rub that fat all over. Yeah, it's way before off. Yeah. But here, you want to go after an animal that was easily accessible. I mean, back then, there's fast food. We think of the fast food today. There is fast food back then, like called a rabbit, a deer. So it wasn't always guaranteed, right? So they lived like this for thousands of years. And then all of a sudden, the world is going to change. Why? Well, the Spaniards are on their way here. And when the Spaniards get here, all right, they have to convince these Native Americans that this life is barbaric. It's miserable. Okay, building missions like Mission de Bolero is more ideal. All right, you get quarters. You get to have protection against another threat that came to these tribes called the Leopan Apaches coming in on Spanish horses. Okay, but well, guess what? Spain goes, hey, we got a cow, we got this thing called a pig, we got this thing called a steer, we got this thing called a horse. We bring sugar cane, we bring rice, we bring tamarindo, we bring cinnamon, we bring sugar and spices. And boy, you would think these Native Americans were like, I'm sold, right? First bite of that bacon would have had me sold. Yeah. So, but here's the thing. Now, moving in from a house of sky to a house of stone meant that quarters were tight. So this family here, one room. You don't get your own room anymore. Yeah. Sorry. This family here, one room. Sorry. No room for you, okay? But that meant also when the bell rang, everybody had to work.
Yeah.
Everybody had to work. And so now you're going to church on a Saturday. Don't know what church is, but now you have to attend this thing called Mass on a Saturday. Now you're taught a new language, and that new language is Spanish. That's the language the Spaniards brought. And you're taught a second language for worship, which is Latin. And then your language will be gone, your native name will be gone, given a Spanish name. Okay, so there's a cost, right? So living like this for thousands of years and building these missions so that Spain can establish a more dominant presence in North America. So as beautiful as these missions are, remember, these people have to lose their identity to save themselves in terms of the Spanish way of life. But boy, did the Spanish bring good food, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we wouldn't have Mexican food if we didn't have the Spanish arrive here. So it's kind of a tough decision, right? Yeah, it's hard. But what did, I know we talked about all these foods, right, that was introduced to the Southwest and to South America. But what about foods that were brought from South America to the rest of the world? Well, corn. Corn is native, all right? And we think of Italy, we think of pizza, we think of spaghetti, right? Sauces. But the tomato comes from Peru, and it took Spain to bring it back. And when we think of Indian culture, India, we think of spices.
Yeah.
Well, the Spaniards took all that back, and now it's relative. And the big one, the big one that Mexico says you're welcome to the rest of the world, because this is the big one, and I know you like this one, okay? Today, years ago, Native Americans would crush this bean, and they would pour it in water, okay? And they would take corn husk and chili, and they would cook it over a fire, and then they would froth it from pot to pot, okay? And when the Spaniards came, they drank it and like, oh wow, okay, it's a little bitter, but not bad. But if we put sugar, we put honey, and they took it back to Spain, and then all of a sudden it started to change. And then it started to change to what we know as chocolate today.
Exactly.
So yeah. But when the Spaniards got here, they saw the Native Americans doing this, so that's a lot of work. So they created a mole meal, which is this, a whisk. So they would put it in these jugs, and whisk that chocolate and get that froth. And that's what that is. Yeah. So we have the list of some of the reports that the Spaniards requested from, where's the capital of New Spain? Mexico City. So we do have them requesting these in clay pots for chocolate. Yeah, so yeah, to tell you the truth, I think I'd choose this one.